Are there any red flags that might be apparent early on in the relationship regarding a partner's relationship with their parent that might be codependent or lead one day to a sort of, I don't know, unproductive, enmeshment in the relationship?
Mm-hmm. I'm always hesitant about red flags because I don't want to label something and then people go, oh, look, there it is. I'm out. Pull the chute, right? We're jumping out. So yeah, let's look at some things. But then also the most important thing is when you go and talk to your partner, are they willing to work through something with you? So I'm giving that little caveat to it. One of the red flags would be saying, I'm going to call my mom and check in with her on that. So this constant going back and making decisions only through mom. So that would tell me that there's no separation between the two. So that's a really good red flag. Another one is where a partner constantly feels responsible for mom's feelings. So maybe he says to his partner in the early days, like, oh no, we have to be there on Thanksgiving Thursday. That's when Thanksgiving happens and we can't deviate from that. That would tell me there's probably some rigidity and control in the family. Then maybe they'd be open to flexibility and changing things. I don't know. But would he be willing to go to his mom and say, hey, mom, we're going to do something different this year. I know you're upset about that, but that's really important to us. The other red flag is if he's always scapegoating her. So if he goes to his mom and says, oh, yeah, Tracy, doesn't want to come for Christmas this year. Or no, we can't come for Sunday patisseries because Tracy doesn't want to. That is creating this splitting effect between a couple. And one of the most important things partners want to do is to be that united front, to be a we, so that families know you come as a package.
It's all very, it's super interesting. I just finished watching the new show Monster, the Ed Gein story.
I'm not familiar.
Have you ever heard of Ed Gein?
No.
He's one of the most famous serial killers of all time. He's the guy on which the movie Psycho, Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho. It's all about somebody who had a very unhealthy relationship with his mother, and ultimately became like one of the most well-known serial killers. I don't even know. Yeah, I mean, I guess he's only known for having killed 2 people. He dug up a bunch of dead bodies, but he had a very unhealthy relationship with his mother. And that story, it was just so crazy that it influenced pop culture in myriad ways. I mean, it was the basis for Psycho. It also became the basis for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and it also became the basis for the Buffalo Bill character in Silence of the Lambs. But the only reason why I bring it up is because famously he had this pathological relationship with his mom, and it led to all of these cancerous, malignant, attitudes towards women, and yeah, I don't know. It's a fascinating story.
It just speaks to the power of what it means to grow up in a family and how much it impacts development. There's research looking at the difference between adults who were physically hit as kids versus adults who as kids were emotionally neglected. What group do you think did worse?
Those who were emotionally neglected?
Yeah. And it's because, as awful as that is, because as children, any attention is better than no attention. We need attention to survive. And so in the emotionally neglect group, if your parents aren't present, if they left you somewhere to be on your own or to care for the siblings, or, just continuously not being acknowledged for your feelings or denied even, that is more harmful than what it means to be hit. You got attention as a kid, not great attention, but it was there. You knew your parent cared for you, as hard as that is to think.
Yeah.
Right? And so this idea of how do we grow up, I think is so important. And when I outlined those systems in the book, I think there's so much compassion first, because when I think of extended family members who get stuck in these patterns, I am also mindful that they're products of their own patterns. And we think of how so many people are using the term, we're reparenting ourselves right now, or we're cycle breakers. That's powerful. And their parents probably broke some of those cycles too. I often think of my clients who will say, nobody ever acknowledged my feelings. I felt abandoned as a kid. And then they were able to say, well, I also know that my mom was physically abused, grew up in an alcoholic home, and she didn't do that to me. So we're cycle breaking in some way. And then at the same time, though, what's difficult is that then we have family who engage in things like denial, which is such a harmful strategy, rigidity and control, parentification, personalization, taking everything that your son and daughter-in-law does to make it about yourself. And those patterns then stop people from being connected.
Well, it also, what you're saying kind of affirms that there is no one-size-fits-all way of parenting, and that perfection doesn't exist. The best thing that you can do as a parent is just be there emotionally for your kids. That there's no like perfect magical paradigm for parenting. There are many ways to peel the carrot.
Yeah.
But what you don't want to do is be emotionally distant, negligent, avoidant.
Yeah, that emotional attunement is so important. And when we think of what does an emotionally intelligent person do, they are aware of their own feelings without saying that you're responsible for my feelings. They show up with respect and curiosity. There's a sense of mutuality and wanting to bring you into the family. I have so many people who share with me that they were excluded from family events and that they always felt like an outsider or the scapegoat in their in-law family.
Hey, if you liked that video, you need to check out this one here, and I'll see you there.